Hey there, Kingdom Dream Chasers. So, this is a topic that I have rarely jumped into, and it's all about what does it look like to have a team in network marketing? And it might not be the team that you're thinking that I'm referring to. Some of you, as a matter of fact, might not have even clicked this button because you had an assumption about what I meant about team. So, those of you who did, you're going to be blessed by this conversation. So I'm actually not referring to a typical, what we think of in direct sales or network marketing, having a team, which means you've recruited or your company has placed people under you, and you're now there to kind of build the team, nurture the team, help them grow. Now that's beautiful and a beautiful part of the industry, women helping women, right? Reaching down, helping them up, helping them get where you've gotten to. Not only is it a blessing for them, but it's a huge blessing for you in many, many ways. However, that's not what I'm talking about. So, what does it mean for network marketers to manage a team? And how does team management in your network marketing business actually leverage your activities and growth? So let's just start with this one premise that how many of you would say that alone you can only get, or I should have asked the question this way. How many of you would admit that just in your own amount of time and energy, it's limited. So you only can get so far in your business before you're going to have to bring on someone else to come alongside you and help support you in the roles and tasks that maybe don't require um, that you're willing to pay for because you need to be focused on more important tasks, things that someone else can't do for you. So, for example, in my business, like I don't hire anyone else to write my emails or write my copy. I want that to come from me or my podcast or my YouTube channel. The copy, my message, I want it to come from my heart. Even if I use AI, I take a transcript of like this exact training and I will say, okay, now based on this training that I did, create some posts, right? So I will use AI to help me condense time by taking something I've already done and repurposing it. All right. So that's just working smarter, not harder. But I'm not asking AI to, out of thin air, try to come up with Gail's words. All right. So my question again is how far do you think you really can get alone? This is one of the when I have someone on the fence who's considering coaching, almost, and you could say the same for someone on the fence considering to invest in your product or what you're offering. Almost always, what they're trying to decide is a number of things going through their head. Will I um, be a good steward of this investment? Right. So they've got a history of investing in things, and either they have stewarded those investments well, right? Or they have a history of maybe not stewarding them well. And so they're on that fence going, what's going to make this time different, right? Now, but what we all know is we have limited time and we have limited resources. So if I don't bring on team to my business, what is the chance that I'm going to be able to grow past, what I can do alone? All right. So some of you have dreams of growing a greater impact, enlarge my territory, grow my leads so I can have a better impact. But if you're not willing to have others come alongside you and as far as team and manage them, um, what's just it's just a little honest love conversation here, real talk. What's the likelihood that you're really going to be able to handle an increased territory? So here's some examples to give you that I work with clients with a lot. An example might be even if you love working in Canva, okay, it might be worth the money to spend to have someone else work on some things for you to free you up to be working on building relationships with your leads, right? Because that person can't do that. So you're trading time and money, right? So here's another example, having someone post for you. All right. Maybe you don't have a problem coming up with the content, or maybe you've even gotten some AI tools that have helped you, like I was saying, take content and repurpose it. But it's the time of being on social media and you get distracted and you end up losing time because you're on there trying to schedule. And what if you could pay someone a lower price to do that busy work would free you up to do what? So being able to have a business mindset that says, my skills over here are far better spent than spending my time over here on lesser things that aren't going to produce revenue. Okay. So managing a team, a lot of my clients will come in and I'm going to tell you a secret, probably without fail. And I'm going to give you a really personal antidote that happened very recently. So probably without fail, when we really boil it down, there's a couple things that cause the fear or resistance to bringing on a team. One is, I'm not making enough money to do that. All right, which means, well, then I will never make enough money to do that, because what I'm saying is I'm going to always wait until hit some certain income level in order to invest. And you're not going to be able to hit that income level until you invest. So it's the other way around. It's taking the leap of faith, investing, and saying, I will make this investment. I will have a return on this investment that will be worthy of this investment. I will work hard at it, and I will be able to leverage what I'm doing. So having team around you, usually there's that I don't deserve, I'm not making enough. So it's that scarcity mindset, it's that orphan mindset that shows up. Okay. Which I'm just here to tell you, it is very unlikely until you deal with that you're going to leave that spot. So you can keep working and working and spending. But if you're wanting to up level, if you're wanting to expand your impact, expand your territory, it's going to take an investment that's bigger than you. All right. Because if where you want to get to is bigger than you, it's going to take an investment to get there. I love the expression, when God showed me a vision of what he wanted my business to look like, and I was kind of like, whoa, I knew right away, there's no way Gail Root can do that, one, without God, and two, without others. So I knew right away that I was going to have to be that, struggling in that cocoon to break out, and realize that I had to learn new skills about managing a team. And usually, here's the secret, the deep down cause down in there is usually I've got an issue with boundaries. I've got past baggage that tells me that I don't always communicate in a way that's clear enough. So the boundaries get murky and I get frustrated. Either because and it's almost always because I haven't been clear enough in the boundaries. Why? Because I didn't want to offend anyone or hurt their feelings, or I just wanted to assume that everything was, let me just assume that everything's going to work out great. Well, that is not how a businesswoman proceeds. A businesswoman says, okay, we're going to sit down, we're going to hash this out. We're going to have a really clear understanding of what my role is, what your role is, so that we both can win. And we're going to have regular points of conversation and connection, because the likelihood, if we don't do that, of something going awry is high. All right. So we work smart when we bring on a new team member and we establish those boundaries from the beginning. So here's my vulnerable thing. All right. So I have a situation recently where something kept reoccurring and it was really making me uncomfortable. I felt like someone was taking advantage of a certain situation. Now, this is not anyone in my personal space, and anyone that any of you probably know. So that is irrelevant. All right. But the lesson was for me, believe me. So, and I would pray about it. I'd say, but you know what, Lord, I'm just going to let this go. There's no competition in the kingdom. No one can take from me what you have for me. And, this kind of these kind of concepts I would, but the truth is what was happening was I had not established a clear boundary. So I was upset. It felt like someone was encroaching in a way, but I didn't want to respond, and I had to dig through it to discover why didn't I want to respond, because I hadn't established a clear enough boundary, because quite frankly, they weren't doing anything wrong, but I didn't like it. Now, this goes back to the heart of why women don't want to bring others on. You've heard things like, "Oh, if it is to be, it's up to me," or "I'll just if you want a job done, do it yourself." Depending on your age and your demographic, you might have grown up hearing that and believing it, and you might even have some personal experience where you did try to let someone else do something and they did drop the ball. And so you're like, forget this. I'm just going to do it myself. Well, I'm going to challenge you. Did they drop the ball because you gave them very specific instructions on what to do and they didn't do it? Or were the instructions not really clear and they did the best that they could and they needed clearer instructions? And so we've got to own that and take responsibility and say, okay, if I'm going to have a team, I've got to sit down with them the very beginning. It's so important. Have it in writing. What is expected? Um, and then look, this is from my perspective. Do you agree? Because if we're going to do this together, we both have to agree. I want to hear from you, right? And so you've got this open communication from the beginning, and it's like, oh, it feels so good. And you have that established points of conversation once a week, once every 2 weeks, whatever it is, where you're going to reconnect and make sure, are we still doing good? Are we on the same page? How are you feeling? How am I feeling? Right? So, but so back to my situation that happened recently. I messaged my coach. I messaged another Kingdom woman, and I said, I just need to process this. I don't really understand what's going on with me. I'm feeling a certain way, and I have these two different voices kind of coming in and at me. But ultimately, what I was saying to both of those people in my life was, I feel like there's something I'm avoiding here. I feel like God keeps bringing this up because it's something I'm avoiding. And when it comes to creating a team, bringing on team members in order to be able to serve this expanded territory that you want, this abundance of leads that you want, this impact that you want, I cannot do that by myself. And of course, I'm doing it with God, but I need humans as well to come alongside me, have the vision with me to grow, or I will not be able to grow the business that God's calling me to grow. But that's a challenge because, quite honestly, guys, sometimes it's easier just to do it myself, right? But what I have to tell myself every time I do that is, Gail, you're just delaying this business that God wants you to create because if you don't allow others to come in, train them, give them boundaries, give them the exact things that they need to do to be successful, then you're not going to get there. If you step in, it's kind of like if you've got a little kid and you're trying to teach them to do something, trying to teach them to tie their shoe, but every time they start, you just get frustrated. You're like, oh, I could do this so much faster. So you just reach down and you tie the shoe themselves. Well, guess what? You're going to be buying slip-ons, right? They're never going to learn how to tie the shoe. So the same is true with you growing your business. Okay. I know it's scary to invest. I know it's scary to put down boundaries and work on communication. Trust me. But if you want to expand your territory, if you want to expand your impact, if you know that God is calling you to that, it's going to take you being willing to invest in a team. One teammate at a time, one person at a time, laying down the boundaries and planning it out. And I'm telling you, you will grow in ways that you can't imagine. All right. So let me go back and finish up with my thing that happened. So what I discovered was, number one, there were some areas that I had not put up guardrails for my business. And once I did it, it was like, oh, I mean, it felt so amazing, so amazing. And I didn't even have to confront anything or anyone. I just was able to make a couple little tweaks in a couple little places. I'm talking little tweaks. And once I did it, it was the most amazing feeling. So what I did was I established boundaries. All right. Put up the guardrails, and now I'll be able to communicate around that. How does this affect? This is everything, especially for women when it comes to adding team members. This is probably the number one reason when I'm coaching and we break it all the way down and we deal with the mindsets of I am not making enough, I'm not deserving enough, I can't do it. It's almost always around establishing these boundaries because we have a past where we either got burned or we did the burning. And it always comes from clear relational communication. And I just didn't want to take the time to do it. I just told myself I was too busy. I just was like, I'm bringing this person on and I'm just hoping it's all going to work out great. Well, it doesn't. Hope isn't a plan. Hope isn't a strategy, right? So um, I'm here to tell you that growing your network marketing business is going to require you to add team members. And if you want it to grow to a true business where you're going to be leveraging, all right? And lastly, what we're going to be talking about next is how do we expand this conversation around team to when you do bring on a team member, what does it look like in the boundaries of your calendar to be coaching them, to be guiding them to build, to start up a successful business in your company? Because if you don't have that established, you're not going to want to bring anybody on. You're going to say things like, I don't want a team. I don't want to deal with all of that. But the truth is, what you don't want to do is just establish the boundaries. What will this look like? And so, our next part two of this around team, we're going to be talking about how do you. So, the one team we talked about today is a virtual assistant, a coach, a a graphic designer who might help you with something, maybe even somebody with copy or an AI tool or something like that. Those are teammates that are going to serve different, do different tasks in your business to help you focus on more important, higher yielding activities. But if you've got a direct sales or network marketing business, the greatest way you can leverage is to bring on team members who want to also build. But most women don't do that because they're afraid of what's going to happen to their life. Are they going to have to work too hard? Are they going to be responsible for someone else's success? And it all goes back to those boundaries and that communication. And so we're going to be talking about that kind of team next session. You're going to love it.